Welcome to New York's number 2 sports show. The Yankees lose the 4-game set at the Baltimore Orioles. They lose 3 of 4. And I was hoping that they would at least be able to split. I would have been fine with that. But they lose 3 out of 4. And to me, the Orioles are the better team. Does that mean it'll be the case the rest of the season? No, not necessarily. But when I look at the Orioles, they're younger. They are certainly more defensively sound. And how could you not say that their offense is just more consistent? The Yankees put up 30 runs, 15 runs in games 2 and 3, 15 runs each with a shit ton of hits. And I'm not surprised to say that they only mustered up 6 runs in the 4 games. Shutout in game 1, 2 solo homers in game 2, a 2-run homer in game 3, and then an RBI single and solo homer in game 4. So there was only 1 run scored, not of the home run variety. The Oriole pitching basically shut the Yankees down. Now, there were opportunities, but the Yankees were about 1 for 16 with runners in scoring position. It was either 1 for 16 or like 1 for 18. It wasn't good. And so now the Yankees are 20 and 13, and the Orioles are 20 and 11. So, yeah. And look, like, when I look at this and going to the season, like with or without Cole, and obviously you take Cole out of the equation and it's not good, but I think, I'm not saying Baltimore's unbeatable. I think they're just more well-rounded than the Yankees. I think the Yankees are, like, what the standings are right now is what it kind of feels like in terms of those two, right? I mean, I know the Red Sox are in third right now. I don't know if that'll last. I would think that they would maybe drop down just a little bit, but I think the Yankees are a playoff team, but I don't know if they're the best team in the division. It didn't look that way in this 4-game series. This was a big series, and the Yankees failed in it. And I guess I'll go most in-depth into maybe games 1 and 2. And, those were 2 games, more so game 1, I guess, but game 2 as well, where the Yankees, they could have won those. They could have won one of them. Whereas game 4, they just got smoked. And, Carlos Rodon, who it's been a good season for him, but he gives up 3 homers. He didn't get the job done in the last game. So, but I think the real big topic of conversation is Aaron Judge. And do you leave him in the 3 spot? I think at this point you have to consider switching things around. And the only place that I think they would put him is probably second in the order, and that's where Soto is. And Soto continues to do really well. He is the one main bright spot in that Yankee lineup. I should also mention that Alex Verdugo was put on the paternity list, so he missed the first 3 games of the series. So obviously, congratulations to him. As far as the Yankees are concerned, the timing, you wish was better. Obviously, the Orioles, you could argue, is the most important Yankee opponent. And so to miss Verdugo for 3 games is tough. They did win one of those 3. And so what you saw was Aaron Judge move over to left. He looked fine out there. Didn't really make any glaring mistakes that I noticed. I think he's definitely more comfortable on right, and that makes sense. He doesn't have a whole lot of experience left, but I think he did just fine. Grisham was in center for each game of the series. And look, with Grisham, he's a very good fielder, but he's just not a very good hitter. That's just what it is. So, but yeah, Soto's been really good in that 2-hole. But for me, against righties, because I know they're very honed in on having it be righty, lefty, righty, or vice versa. They don't want to stack up the same handedness in the lineup if they can avoid it. So for me, what I'm thinking is maybe what should be considered is Verdugo leading off, Judge batting second, Soto batting third. Just a thought. Because also, I think Volpe, and let me just see something real quick to go further into it. So what are Volpe's splits, righty versus righties and versus lefties? Is it noticeable? It's pretty even. Maybe the batting average is maybe about 20 points higher versus lefties, but there isn't a drastic difference. But yeah, again, just a thought. Maybe versus lefties, at least, You go Verdugo. No, I take that back. Against lefties, you stick with Volpe leading off. Maybe against righties, maybe you go Verdugo, right? I don't know what. I don't think they're going to make the change, but Boone has shown a willingness to adjust. I'll give him that. Even though when Verdugo came back, Verdugo was placed back in the sixth spot, and Rizzo was batting fourth. I don't have a major problem with that, but I would like to go back to Verdugo cleaning up. I hope that was kind of just a temporary thing. I like that change. So that would be my preference. But yeah, this lineup just is not getting the job done at all. And Judge is kind of at the center of it. And he's batting below 200. Like in this series, he had one hit in game one. I think that was it. I think that was the only hit he had. He's batting, I think, 197. It's tough. Glaber finally hits his first home run in a very meaningless spot in game four. But for him, that could be meaningful. I don't mean to say it like that. Like, hopefully it gets him going. But he made some really questionable decisions defensively. It's frustrating. And, you can tell that Boone was kind of frustrated too. Based on the way he was talking, he didn't really defend Glaber. Where a lot of times he'll try to. Like in this case, it was like he went bare hand, tried to go double play, and just didn't even get the out at second. We'll talk about that when it gets there. But he is a force. He is a source of frustration for definitely. But yeah, this lineup, it's like, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the fact that they put up 30 runs. Yeah, they show what they're capable of, but then once you face the Orioles in a key 4-game series, they go silent, completely silent. 6 runs in 4 games. Totally, totally unacceptable. Like, the pitching is doing what it can. Because really, on paper, it's not all that good. It just isn't. But yet, they're kind of just piecing it together. But the offense, what's their excuse? There really isn't one. Okay, so Yanks Orioles 4-game set. In terms of any transactions, they called up catcher Carlos Narvaez, who ended up not appearing in any of the games. So he came up to take Verdugo's spot, but it didn't. That was it. And besides that, nothing else to speak of transaction wise for the Yanks that comes to mind. But yeah, game one. It was interesting. They had Austin Wells, and almost deservedly so. And Wells had compared to everyone else, he had a pretty good offensive series. And I like the way he looks up there. I've said that. The stats don't look good. They're not good. But it's a little misleading. But yeah, they had Wells batting 6th, Glaber batting 7th. I didn't hate it. But Glaber himself, to be fair, Glaber has kind of he's getting a little bit offensively. He is getting a little bit better than he was, right? And he does get that home run in the 4th game. So this series should not really be such centered around a Glaber talking point as it is just the whole offense. And if anyone is to be singled individually, sadly to me it would be Judge. But yeah. So the lineup with Verdugo out saw some changes. Clark Schmidt pitched pretty well. He really did. He made one mistake to lead off the game against Gunnar Henderson, who hit a homer to lead off the game. But hey, he goes 5 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. So he certainly gave them a chance. I thought it was a pretty good outing for Clark after it didn't look good early on. For the Orioles, Grayson Rodriguez kind of got out of a lot of jams. 5 2/3 innings, 5 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. The interesting thing is that a couple days later, he was placed in the aisle with shoulder inflammation, but he still was able to kind of shut the Yanks down. So that's kind of frustrating, where he had kind of not had a great season coming into this outing. He wasn't bad, but not great. And the Yankees just could not really take advantage of opportunities in this game. They go 0 for 8 with runners in score position. This was the most frustrating of the games. The Yankees could have easily won this game, but they couldn't do it. And so let's talk about what happened here and where they went wrong. And here's what I'm going to say off the bat as well. Yankees lead the league in double plays. I think it's about 37 or 38. That reminds me, I guess it was 2021? There was a year when they were hitting a fuck ton of double plays. I think it was 2021. And here we are again. I think Judge has like 10 of them. So when he's not striking out, he's grounding double plays. He's been bad. I got to say that. Does it mean he's not going to absolutely turn around? I'm not saying he won't, but let's just call it as we see it. A very disappointing month plus for Aaron Judge. Okay, so let's see. First inning, Gunnar Henderson homer. And that was it looked like that was going to be the only run of the game until we'll get to the eighth, where the Orioles score to again to make it 2-0, and that would be the final score of this one. But let's see, where were some big opportunities for the Yankees? Here we go. Third inning, first and third, one out. Volpe walk, Soto single, Judge strikeout. And looking bad, and I'm pretty sure looking bad doing so. He swings at ball 4. Really, the 3-1, I'll live with that, but the full count one, just you can't do that. And then Rizzo grounds out. So an opportunity wasted there. Then fourth inning, Stanton, he just can't move. Stanton singles to lead off the inning, and Austin Wells, who just cannot catch a break. Actually, hold on a second. Am I mixing up the innings? Yes, I am. It's actually the 6th inning. I take that back. It wasn't the 4th. It'll be the 6th. So let's go to the 6th, actually. Let's go to the 6th inning. And Stanton gets a 1-out walk. Then Austin Wells, who's been hitting the ball hard and not really getting the results, it ends up being a force out from Anthony Santander in right field to Gunnar Henderson at short, where Stanton was he just can't get the motor running. Once Stanton stops, it takes a while for him to get going again. It's sad to see. It's in part that he's not the quickest, but it's more so he needs to kind of stop himself because he doesn't want to get hurt. So it's somewhat of a semantics game where, you hear Michael Kay saying he's incapable, where I forgot the words he used, but that he just simply can't do it. It's not so much that he can't do it. He chooses not to because he doesn't want to get hurt. Again, it's kind of the same thing, but yeah, so Stan gets started at second on what should have been just a regular single for Wells. Anyone else is getting to second base easily. But so that ends what could have maybe been an interesting inning, especially because then Glaber singles after that. They bring in the lefty Cianel Perez, and Cabrera grounds out on a nice play by Mountcastle. So that was the thing, too. Defensively, Baltimore was making all of the plays. And that was kind of the case all series, it felt like, whereas the Yankees were slipping up a bit, especially in the infield. And we're going to get there in the 8th inning. But defense, major advantage Orioles, for sure. 6th inning, Dennis Santana comes on for Schmidt to get that final out of the 6th. 7th inning, you get a leadoff bunt single by Trent Grisham, but then Volpe grounds into a force. Judge grounds out Volpe to second. Then Yenier Cano comes on for Perez, and Judge flies out. So Soto grounded out, and then Judge flies out, where he just kind of got under it. That's the thing. He's missing good pitches. The flyouts aren't impressive either. It's these are pitches that he should be crushing, and he's not. 7th inning, Santana goes 1-2-3. 8th inning, Caleb Ferguson comes on to start the inning. And it's a 1-out hit by pitch to Gunnar Henderson, a 1-out single by Adley Rutschman, and a flat. So they bring on Clay Holmes. And and Clay has been, he's been awesome. Because sometimes I'm kind of lukewarm on Clay in terms of it's kind of cardiac Clay. He has looked filthy. Superb, all-star-like. Holmes has been that good. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball for sure. And his ERA still sits at 0, right? Yeah, crazy. So yeah, Clay comes on in somewhat of a tough spot. 1st and 3rd, 2 out. And what my first thought that comes to mind is, damn, I don't totally hate it, but it's fuck. Why couldn't he even pitch that Friday against Milwaukee? Here he is now coming in when you're losing in the middle of the 8th inning. I understand it's versus Baltimore, which is way more important opponent-wise, but it's damn. And you know what? I'll give Boone credit. On Talking Yanks with John Boy, he did admit that he could have went about it differently, where he said that maybe he could have extended Caleb Ferguson further, and then that would have maybe allowed Clay to get part of the 9th and maybe more all the 10th. So at least he, and I kind of felt like he might do that. So I give him credit for that. But anyway, Anthony Santander is up against Clay, and what should have been an easy ground out to end the inning. Volpe boots it, flat out boots it, where he can't get the out at second, to step on second or toss it to Glaber. It goes off his glove and he kicks it and he gets no one out. And so that hurt. Where maybe if you're down 1-0, maybe you're able to scrap out that run in the 9th. But down 2-0, and it wasn't Clay's fault. The run goes against Ferguson, although it was unearned because of obviously the error to Volpe. But it's 2-0 going to the 9th. And it starts out with a Gleyber single. So a couple hits for Gleyber. And then Yennier Cano comes out and they bring in the lefty Colon. Danny Colon comes in and Oswaldo Cabrera gets into one. But because of the pushback dimensions of Camden Yards, it's tough. That park used to be a bandbox, an offensive, like one of the best hitters parks in the league. And now it's kind of the opposite. It's definitely it's gone the other way. And so Oswaldo, that would have been a homer, I think. I think they said maybe in 6 ballparks, I think. So it's not like it would have been in certain places, not most, but that was tough. And then Grisham, they let him hit against the lefty. He flies out, and then Volpe ends it with the ground out. So Baltimore wins 2-0. That was, for me, probably the most frustrating game. Yeah. But Game 2 is not too far behind it. Game 2, not too far. So Game 2 is a pitching matchup that involves Nestor Cortes for the Yankees and Dean Kramer for Baltimore. So it's kind of funny how this series worked out, where the one game the Yankees won was the one game where I was kind of like, yeah, this pitching matchup is not great. It was Louis Seal versus Corbin Burns. That's the game they win. But I look back at some of these, and it's like, Schmidt, Grayson Rodriguez, not so much. Like that one I could see. But I don't know, Nestor versus Kramer was one where I was hoping that you could get a win out of that one, and it didn't happen. The Yankees really should have gotten to Dean Kramer more. He's not bad, but definitely the worst of the 4 pitchers they saw. And Kramer ends up going 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. That's really good. 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. That's not good. So that's a really bad line. That's a lot of walks. It's not that many strikeouts. And he gave 2 homers, but the Yankees just couldn't get it done. And then for Nestor, he really let one inning get the best of him, but ultimately not a great line. 6 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. So not great for Nestor. And like I said, it was kind of one inning. But you know what? The Yankees, whereas they had so many chances in Game 1, they really didn't have that many in this. They were 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position. 3 double plays. Judge, Rizzo, and Stanton just cannot have that. So anyway, in this game, they did make the switch where they had Stanton 4, Rizzo 5, Torres 6, Wells 7. So a little bit of a switch up, even though both games were against righties. The lineup looked a little bit same personnel, but different order. So, double play in the first inning for Judge after a Soto walk. It's a problem. It is. But we go to the second inning, and defensive miscues at its finest again within the infield. So Santander doubles, but really what happens is Rizzo down the right field line goes back and back and back and back and drops it. Really, at some point, it should have just been Soto's ball. And so I'm not sure where blame goes there. Like, could Soto have taken charge more? I guess, but Rizzo kind of seemed like he had a beat on it, but he probably should have backed away, and he still could have caught it. So it's frustrating. It's a double, but again, Rizzo, he's been better defensively lately, but it just hasn't been as crisp as we're used to seeing. And then here it is. Again, Gleyber Torres trying to be a hero, and it's a ground ball to second. He's got to go to first there. I understand that he could have gotten Santander out at third. He's done this before, but everything would have needed to align perfectly. And what happens is the throw goes off of the back of Santander, and he scores. So it would have been an easy out at first. It's just tough because for Oswaldo, and we saw Gleyber do this in Toronto, and it didn't work out, where it went to Oswaldo, but the guy went in safe at third. So you got to live to fight another day. I understand runs are at a premium, and if it worked out, he would have been praised. It's like you gotta let that one go, because the risk there is just too much more than the reward. It just is, because if it goes wrong, you see what happens. And look, maybe Nestor gets out of it, runner on third, 1 out. Anyway, now it's runner on first with a run in. And then fly out Mateo, fly out Mullins, ground up McCann. So that was a run there between the Rizzo situation with the first batter and Gleyber there. There should have been no runs. But the third inning, Austin Wells hits his first homer of the season, and it's off of Kramer to tie it up at 1. So that was good to see. But then we go to, I'm gonna have to be harsh on Judge again. The one situation where runners in scoring position, it was first and third, another Soto single that leads to this. That's the thing. Soto's been so good, and yet Judge can't take advantage of it. Judge grounds out to end the inning. So, they could have maybe had taken the lead. They don't. Bottom of the fourth is where it gets messy for Cortez. Leadoff double for Jorge Mateo. And Mateo kind of killed him this series. And he's not, again, he's a former Yankee prospect. He's not a great hitter. He gets a leadoff double. And then an RBI double by James McCann with 1 out. So that's tough, too. So Yankees were getting beat by some of the lower people in the Oriole lineup. So that makes it 2-1. Then you get a Colton Cowser infield single. And that was the kind of frustrating thing, too, was that it's not as if necessarily he got hit hard early inning, and then after that, it was kind of just things were placed in the right way. But, hey, that's why contact's important. But Gunnar Henderson gets RBI single. Gleyber did the best he could, but RBI single Gunnar Henderson. And then Adley Rutschman kind of dunks one into right. Soto tried to dive for it, couldn't get it, and makes it 4-1. Let's go to the 6th. Juan Soto with a long home run off of Dean Kramer, and he was staring at it. Hey, I understand it. If Soto's not on your team, he's one that would frustrate you. But when he's on your team, you love him. 8th homer of the year for Soto makes it 4-2. After a Judge walk, Stanton 6-4-3 double play. So there you go. So it stays at 4-2. We go to the 7th. Luke Weaver has done a very nice job. Luke Weaver pitches the 7th and 8th. He goes 2 innings, 1 hit, no one runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Weaver has become a weapon in that pen. And honestly, he should really be, and kind of feels like he is. He's, again, that pecking order, he's going up and up. Because someone who we'll talk about in game 3, like Ian Hamilton, based on the eye test, it's been pretty bad. Like, as much as this is kind of like a mishmash, ragtag bullpen, Hamilton, for me, is kind of towards the bottom in terms of trust. And Weaver's moving up that list. But, so Keegan Aiken replaces Kramer in the 8th. He allows a 1-out single to Volpe. Jacob Webb comes on and gets a 4-out save. He strikes out Judge to end the 8th. And then in the 9th, it's a Stanton strikeout, Rizzo strikeout, and Torres ground out. So Jacob Webb makes easy work of the Yanks. And at that point, the Orioles clinch at least a split of the series. Let's go to game 3. Game 3, the Yanks are able to win this game. And we should be able to go through this one pretty quickly. Great job by Luis Gil. And that's the thing. Like, for Gil, he has just great stuff. And if he can harness it, it's dangerous. He goes 6 1/3 innings, 2 hits, no one runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Excellent for Luis Gil. Definitely one of the, maybe arguably the biggest bright spot of this series. Great job by Luis Gil, who goes toe-to-toe with Corbin Burnes, who makes one mistake, and it cost him. His Burnes was pretty good. He goes 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 home runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. So, let's run through this one pretty quickly. And the lineup for this one was more similar to game 2. The difference is that Trevino would be the catcher for this game. So I guess in looking back on it, Wells got 3 of the 4 starts, and it kind of makes sense because the Orioles had 4 right-handed starters. So, I guess they could have split it even, but I don't disagree with it. But anyway, a lot of zeros on the board here in this one. Gil and Burnes, both locked in a pitcher's duel. But in the 5th inning, 2 outs, Jose Trevino infield single. Now, this was a play where if Gunnar Henderson is kind of able to stay on his feet, he might be able to get the slow Trevino, but he's not able to. Now, it made sense. It wasn't an error, but it was a play where Henderson was kind of upset, and this could have ended the inning. And then, as Waldo Cabrera hits a 2-run homer, his 4th homer of the year, just right inside that right field foul pole. Just barely fair. And that's all the Yankees would need. So is Waldo, who, the numbers have kind of dropped off a little bit lately, but yet I still like the way he looks. I do, and I'm glad that he's playing, and he's still been one of the better bright spots. That's not saying much, but Oswaldo has had a knack for some pretty big hits, and that's why the RBI numbers are where they are. So now for Oswaldo, 18 RBIs, even though he's only 252, which on this team actually isn't all that bad, but only a 289 on base percentage is not good. A 691 OPS is below average, but yet, hey, 18 RBIs, I do hold value in that, and I think Oswaldo has done a good job. It doesn't feel as if he's striking out too much. I'm not sure if the stats suggest that, but it just feels like he's putting the bat on the ball. So 2-0 Yanks, big home run for Oswaldo, and Gil's able to just basically lock it down. In the 7th inning, Caleb Ferguson comes on and does a nice job. So Ferguson lately has looked a little bit better. It's been kind of a tough start for him as a Yankee, but I think the Yankee, they still trust him. And the good thing is he strikes out Kauser and Westberg. But then Ian Hamilton comes on in the eighth. He walks Cedric Mullins. He hits Kjerstad. And then luckily Santander pinch hits and pops out to Trevino. So it could have been disaster-like. But yeah, Ian Hamilton, just there's not much swing and miss stuff. And something is off there because he looked really good to start the year. And the last 4 or 5 outings, it's been dreadful. And you're just kind of hoping he can just get around it. But Clay Holmes comes on, and Clay Holmes looked dynamite. He strikes out Gunnar Henderson. He strikes out Adley Rutschman. And then in the ninth, a leadoff single by Ryan O'Hearn. But then he strikes out Mountcastle, gets Kauser to ground out, and then Westberg to ground out. Just Clay Holmes, he's been so good. A 0 ERA, 15 innings, 16 strikeouts, which is solid. It's not like that's not the number to look at so much, but the whip is .93. That's great. Now, I know there's been some hit by pitches, right? And that doesn't count against the whip, but the fact that the walk to strikeout ratio, that's what I'm so impressed by. 1 walk for Clay Holmes. That's amazing. 1 walk and 16 strikeouts. So, yeah, I hope he keeps it up. And there's a lot of pressure on him because he's really the one guy that you can really trust in that pen. So at this point, the Yankees still have a chance to split the series, but as you could tell by what I said early on, they would not do that. And so the last game, Carlos Rodon, even though the stuff wasn't terrible, he doesn't get it done. To me, look, this is more on the offense in general, but Rodon, 4 innings, 8 hits, 7 runs, 6 of them earned. Now, no walks, 6 strikeouts. I like that. I like the no walks, 6 strikeouts. Granted, there was a couple hit by pitches. Holmes actually only had 2. Rodon, it feels like Rodon has a lot of hit by pitches this year. Let's see. 4. That is a lot. At this early a stage, I would say 4 is a good amount. And so, yeah, it's just been, 3.68 ERA. He's 2-2. It's a lot better than last year, but I'm still hoping, but I don't think it's going to happen, to get back to what he was that 2022 San Francisco year, the 2021 White Sox season. I just don't know if we're going to get there. But either way, Kyle Bradish, who we didn't know that I did not know that he'd be pitching. He makes his season debut. Now, he doesn't qualify for the win. He doesn't go 5 innings, but he goes 4 2/3, allows 4 hits, 1 earned, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. So Bradish did a nice job for the Orioles. It was a lot of the bullpen that would need to come in for them, but the Orioles broke it open, and so it was low-stress innings for that bullpen because, by the time the 5th inning was over, this game was basically shot. So Bradish versus Rodon. Alex Verdugo returns from paternity leave and comes into a big situation. Bases loaded, 2 out, and grounds out in the first. So it's weird. He tends to be up in the biggest of spots. And like I said, it's been a mix of coming through, but also not. And so the score remains tied. And then we go to Rodon gets out of a jam in the second. Give him credit. That could have gotten bad there, but he gets out of it. Then the third, the Yankees take the lead. A leadoff double for Volpe. And then after a strikeout by Soto and a line out by Judge, Rizzo is able to get an RBI single. So the one run that was scored not on a homer is the RBI single by Rizzo to make it 1-0. But in the third inning, where you're looking for a shutdown inning, Ryan Mountcastle hits a homer, his 5th of the year, to tie it up at 1. And then in the 4th, you get a double play ground out by Oswaldo, who actually had not, I think he grounded into double play, I think twice in this game. He was, even though the double play numbers were bad, he had not hit a double play, I think, all season. But anyway, 4th inning, Jorge Mateo hits his first homer of the year, and he crushed it. That kind of hurt to see. Makes it 2-1. And then Ryan McKenna hits his first homer of the year. This was one where Trent Grisham, if he times it right, he could have robbed it, but he doesn't. So, yeah, that kind of sucked. Makes it 3-1. Then in the 5th, there was an opportunity where Rizzo's up. Keegan Aiken, the lefty, comes on to replace Bradish, but Rizzo pops out to Henderson to end the inning. And then it kind of just unravels for Rodon in the 5th. Double Rutschman, RBI single Mountcastle, and then the next play, so that's 4-1. And the next play is where you could have had a double play or at least 1 out. Santander grounds out to Volpe, and Glaber tries to go bare hand. What are you doing? And he drops it, and everyone's safe. And then Westberg with a 2-run triple to make it 6-1. Rodon's day is done. You could have maybe taken him out. honestly, before the Westberg at bat. But Marinaccio comes on, allows a sac fly to Mateo. That makes it 7-1. We go to the sixth. Gleyber Torres, he finally hits his first homer of the year. I think it was a 50, dating back to last season, it was a 53-game homerless drought, which ends. So hopefully this can help him. Oswaldo grounds a double play in the sixth. Marinaccio goes 1-2-3 in the bottom of the sixth. Let's go to the seventh. Michael Tonkin comes in, and he pitches a couple of scoreless innings. Looked pretty good, Tonkin, in the seventh and the eighth. But the Yankees don't provide anything offensively. They go down. They lose 7-2 in the one game of the series that wasn't close. So, yeah, Orioles 20-11, Yankees 20-13. So let's do a quick preview of the Tigers series. And this will be not as easy as you would think. It won't be. So the Detroit Tigers are 18-13, so they have the same amount of losses as the Yankees do. And they have good pitching. So that's the thing. So expect some low-scoring games, right? Because the Yankees pitching has found a way to kind of do okay. It'll be Reese Olson versus Marcus Stroman. And maybe on paper, this is probably the best chance the Yankees might have. But Olson, even though he's 0-4, the Yankees saw him last year. He's pretty good. I would not underestimate his abilities. And for Stroman, he's got to get back on track. He has not been good lately. So, I will be upset if he doesn't do well. He's got to do better. Game 2, Casey Mize, who was once a top Detroit Tigers prospect against Clark Schmidt, who also, was a first-round pick and highly thought of above the Yanks. So we'll see Mize versus Schmidt. And then the third game is probably the toughest one. A battle of lefties. Tariq Skubal has been so good. One of the best pitchers in baseball. He's 4-0 with a 1.72 ERA, and he'll be going against Nestor Cortez. So that one I think will be the toughest. We'll see what happens. The Yankees are at home, and so I would hope they win the series. But just because, the Tigers have not been a good team in recent years, and the Yankees, I think, have done well against them, especially at the stadium, it kind of feels like. I think that the Yankees may have trouble, and this isn't tough to say because the Yankees offense has struggled this season. I think that runs will be at a premium, and the Yankees are going to have to kind of grind out some low-scoring wins. But who knows? Maybe I'll be dead wrong, and they'll just be runs all over the place. But anyway, disappointing series loss. It's a 4-game set where the Yankees lose 3 of 4 to the Baltimore Orioles, and now they will come home for a 6-game homestand. The first 3 versus the Detroit Tigers, and then the next 3 against the Houston Astros.